Bangkok erupted in applause and headlines Friday night when Fátima Bosch of Mexico was crowned Miss Universe 2025. But the glittering moment came wrapped in controversy, protests, and real concern for a fellow contestant. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell to get first-hand updates as this story develops. The crowning. Fátima Bosch, 25, walked away with the Miss Universe title in a ceremony that many will remember for more than a sash and a tiara. Her victory followed weeks of intense public attention after she led a walkout at a November 3 sash ceremony in Bangkok, an act that came after a heated exchange with a pageant executive. Bosch's win was widely celebrated in Mexico and beyond, with supporters praising not just her poise on stage, but the steadiness she showed under pressure. The walkout and the confrontation that preceded it are central to why this year's pageant felt different. At a pre-pageant event, pageant director Nawad Ishra Grisel publicly berated Bosch, which prompted Bosch and several other contestants to leave in protest. The episode went viral, drawing condemnation from the Miss Universe organization's leadership and from public figures in Mexico, and it set the tone for a competition shot through with questions about respect, power, and the treatment of contestants. Behind the scenes, the judging process came under fire when one of the appointed final judges, Omar Harfouche, resigned in the days before the pageant and accused organizers of a secret selection process that pre-picked finalists. Harfouche said his decision was prompted by what he described as opaque, unofficial procedures that sidelined the official judges, allegations that immediately raised concerns about transparency and fairness. That back-and-forth, accusation on one side and denial on the other, underscored why many viewers and contestants alike said they wanted clearer, verifiable processes from the organization. Adding a tragic note to the weekend's headlines, Miss Jamaica, Dr. Gabrielle "Gabby" Henry, suffered a serious fall from the stage during the preliminary evening gown round and was taken to hospital. She was carried off on a stretcher and later admitted for observation and treatment. Updates from her family and organizers have emphasized the need for privacy and support while medical teams monitor her condition in intensive care. The accident provoked immediate questions about stage safety, footwear, and emergency preparedness at high-pressure live events. The Miss Universe organization's leadership publicly addressed several of these crises. President Raul Rocha released statements condemning disrespectful behavior and promising corporate and legal steps where appropriate, framing the organization's response around values of dignity and safety for contestants. That response included restrictions on the executive at the center of the pre-pageant confrontation and the promise of investigations into the incidents raised publicly by contestants and judges. The visible involvement of MUO leadership signaled that the competition's owners recognized the reputational stakes and the need for accountability. Public reaction has largely celebrated Bosch's composure. Across social media and in statements from public figures, people lauded her decision to speak up and her choice to return to the competition despite the earlier turmoil. Many framed her victory as more than a beauty title, as a platform she pledged to use to amplify women's voices and to press for respectful treatment of contestants worldwide. Her message and the public's response to it turned the crown into a focal point for broader conversations about empowerment and institutional reform. Yet the applause didn't erase the unresolved questions. Claims of secret selection mechanisms and a judge's resignation left a crack in the pageant's aura of impartiality, and the fall suffered by Miss Jamaica exposed the physical risks contestants face on stage. Organizers' denials and promises of inquiry will now be tested by how open those probes are conducted and whether they lead to meaningful change in governance, safety standards, and transparency. What this night ultimately delivered was a complex mix. A triumphant crowning that inspired a nation, a sustained public rebuke of mistreatment, and hard questions about how one of the world's most visible competitions operates. For viewers and pageant insiders alike, the takeaway is clear. A title cannot simply paper over allegations of misconduct, and institutions must answer calls for clarity and safety with concrete steps, not just statements. As headlines settle and investigations, internal or external, get underway. The lasting image from Bangkok may not be a crown alone, but a woman who used a spotlight to call attention to how contestants are treated and the collective insistence that systems meant to celebrate people must also protect them. The Miss Universe stage gave Fátima Bosch the platform. Now the world will be watching to see whether that platform helps change the rules of the pageant game.